Hello, Seiiti Arata. What is it that we truly mean when we say that we're suffering from a lack of willpower? Laziness, lack of discipline, lack of time, these are all things that we use to describe something that has already been studied by science, the problem of letting willpower run out. I'm going to explain to you how this psychological phenomenon works, and I'll share three important discoveries from scientific studies that examine the nature and the characteristics of willpower. And this is important because lack of willpower is a problem when we want to change something in our lives. For example, plans to get in shape, or learn another language, or just read more books. When we create all these plans, we're full of willpower, aren't we? And we can, of course, start the first stages. The problem is that when time passes, that initial excitement begins to fade away until apparently we don't know how to keep on going. And we cannot promote the change because it's basically depending on willpower. There was a study completed by the American Psychological Association that discovered that the biggest difficulty for achieving a lifestyle change is actually lack of willpower. It is a mistake to depend on your willpower. How many of you have started a diet on Monday full of grandiose intentions just to see your motivation dropping throughout the week? How many of you have made spectacular plans to study more only to return to the old habits over time? I promised to you three important discoveries about the properties of willpower, so here is the first scientific breakthrough that will help you to improve your understanding of this subject. Willpower can run out. One of the first scientific studies on the subject placed participants in a room with a table and two plates on it. One of the plates had a few radishes, and another plate had some warm cookies fresh from the oven. And then the scientists asked some of the people to only eat the cookies, and some other people were requested to only eat the radishes. And after this, they had 30 minutes to solve a complicated brain teaser. And the conclusion was remarkable. Those who were only allowed to eat the radishes, they had to exercise their willpower in order to resist these nice smelling cookies. On average, those who ate the radishes gave up on the brain teaser just after 8 minutes, but those who were allowed to eat the cookies had an advantage. These biscuit eaters didn't waste their willpower trying to resist the urge to eat, and because of that they were able to be working on the brain teaser for 19 minutes. That's more than double than the first group. And since the publication of this study, various other experiments have confirmed this theory now that is called willpower depletion. The simplest way to understand this theory is to think of your willpower as like battery of your phone. As your willpower runs out, it can only be returning to normal when it is recharged. Willpower is dependent upon your beliefs and your attitudes. Willpower is the ability to delay gratification, resisting short-term temptations to be able to achieve long-term goals. And this resistance ability is the ability to maintain a conscious and planned behavior pattern instead of simply reacting to impulsively to events. Okay, up until now you already learned alongside the scientists that willpower is a limited resource. Now, the second lesson is discovering what exactly makes us use up our willpower. And the first theory was that willpower was used up during the day because of physical tiredness. And this hypothesis, however, was discarded. There were no significant difference in the willpower between people who stayed up all night without sleeping and people who had enjoyed a good night's sleep. But just be aware that this is not necessarily showing the whole picture. I recorded a special class with 6 activities in order to strengthen your willpower, and we also have a specific rest activity that will help you. Stay here until the end when I explain to you how to gain access to this special class, including the 6 activities. The second theory was that willpower can be strengthened or weakened depending on our beliefs and our attitudes. It was discovered that those who are always trying to please others, they use up too much willpower. When you think about what others want, you spread your focus. To increase your willpower, it's better to stay focused on your own goals and complete your own objectives. And something else that also helps the potential of your willpower is being in a good mood. If you get an unexpected gift or if you watch a comedy film, you enter in a good mood state, and this good mood can help to strengthen you, helping you to do what has to be done. And this leads us to the third discovery. This one is pretty interesting, and it's very, I could say it's even the most valuable of all. Willpower can be trained as a muscle. That's it. Willpower can be trained as if it were a muscle. After so many experiments, what surfaced was the theory that willpower can be strengthened by way of mental exercises, just like a muscle can be strengthened by physical exercises. And to prove the theory that willpower can be trained, volunteers were placed on a diet for 2 weeks, and they were told they had to carry out some self-control activities, exercises, and these volunteers were compared to a control group who didn't do those exercises. And the result was that the volunteers that passed the diet and exercise self-control ended up becoming more disciplined. They were able to transform into an improved version of themselves to overcome willpower depletion. A similar test was also done with people who smoke cigarettes. A group of smokers had to exercise their self-control for 2 weeks, avoiding sweets. And then what was the result? The smokers that trained their self-control avoiding the sweets, they were also more successful in trying to stop smoking. This became clear when they were compared to the other group of smokers who didn't have to practice their self-control by avoiding the sweets. So, if you're someone that complains about a lack of discipline or lack of willpower, the solution is pretty simple. What you have to do now is to complete 6 purposeful activities to strengthen your willpower. What I'm going to do is to introduce you to a special class now with all the 6 activities. Imagine that you had so much more willpower, more than the average person. Do you think you'd be able to achieve your goals more easily, such as losing weight or learning other languages or reading more books or anything else that you might think of? Of course you would. You just learned about 3 important discoveries that have been made in the field of human behavior. First, willpower is indeed a limited resource. Second, our willpower fluctuates depending on our mentality and our choices. And third, willpower can be trained through specific exercises. And there are 6 simple hands-on exercises for you to train your willpower. In order to have more willpower, you need to have a specific exercise routine. Avoid unachievable plans. Prioritize what is important. Find strategic ways to restore your vitality. Know how to manage your stress and strategically choose the number of choices you make. I teach all these 6 exercises in detail in a special class in our personal development course. And the good news for you who's interested in having more willpower is that I've decided to open this class for you for free to teach the 6 practical exercises for you to train your willpower. To access this class with all the 6 activities, all you have to do now is to visit arata.se/willpower practice.